And to North Korea, where the influential sister of the country's leader, Kim Jong-un, has said that Pyongyang is willing to resume talks with South Korea if it doesn't provoke the North with hostile policies. Kim Yo-Jong's statement was in response to renewed calls from Seoul to officially declare an end to the Korean War as a way to bring back peace to the peninsula. Let's go live to Seoul and get the latest from our correspondent Laura Bicker. Laura, just tell us more about what she had to say.
Well, this is a rather surprising statement. Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-Jong, is used to kind of putting out statements that are rather forceful in nature, usually critical of Seoul in nature. And here, right at the top of the statement, she says she's willing to discuss. She called it an admirable idea to end the Korean War with this declaration that President Moon here in Seoul has been advocating for quite some time. And in the last week at the United Nations General Assembly, he once again renewed that call for an end of war declaration. Just to remind your viewers, the Korean War ended in 1953 with an armistice, not a peace treaty. So the peninsula has been in an official state of war ever since. There have been many discussions about ending the war and declaring it to come to an official end. And there are many arguments for and against. But when it comes to Pyongyang, certainly here in Seoul, they've both agreed at different stages that this is something that should be done. But there are no discussions going on between North and South, and that's where this statement is very interesting. For the first time in a long time, it's almost like a little sliver of hope, almost like the door to talks is opening just slightly. But then you go into the statement and there are a lot of ifs and a lot of buts. She wants South Korea to end its hostile policy, and by that she usually means when it comes to having troops, US troops based on the peninsula, and the policy of sanctions, which are international sanctions backed by the United Nations. So there are various ifs and buts attached to this, but it's the first time I think I've seen such a sliver of hope from Kim Yo-Jong.
Laura, it's only a matter of days ago that we were talking on an almost hourly basis, day, after all the missiles being tested by both North and South. How much of an appetite does there seem to be on the peninsula for that not to get out of hand?
Well, I think when it comes to Seoul's perspective, President Moon has very little time left in office. The presidential election to elect his successor is well underway. That will take place in March. He has made it a bedrock of his presidency to try to renew peace talks on the peninsula. Remember, he held the hand of Kim Jong-un on the sacred Mount Baekdu. He gave a speech in Pyongyang. There was great hope here that this would lead to some kind of renewed peace process. And then things soured after Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un failed to come to an agreement in Hanoi in 2019. Since then, Seoul has been prodding gently, trying to get talks back underway, trying to encourage the new Biden administration to get talks underway. But North Korea really hasn't shown any appetite for it. I believe the United States, along with partners in Japan and here in South Korea, are looking at some kind of humanitarian aid offer. Whether or not that will be accepted by North Korea, we'll have to wait and see. There does seem to be some kind of slow movement and just a tiny little bit of movement here in the peninsula. But whether or not that will come to anything within the next few months, it's back to that kind of old reporter saying we'll have to wait and see.
OK. Laura, thank you very much for now. Laura Bicker there in Seoul.